Hey y'all. Today's objective is the distance formula. So you use the distance formula when you have 2 points on the coordinate plane, x, y, x, y. And the distance formula is derived from the Pythagorean theorem. So it's kind of a version off of the Pythagorean theorem. So here's the distance formula. The distance equals the difference of the x value, so x minus x squared, and then when you squared it, whatever that value is becomes positive, plus the difference in the y values, y minus y squared. And then you take the square root of all that. So it's kind of like what we do with the Pythagorean theorem. When you square numbers, you add them together, and then you take the square root. And so sometimes your number might be an integer, and sometimes it might be a square root of a non-perfect square. So sometimes it's going to be in a square root. So make sure you get this down, and then I'm going to show you how to use it. Alright, so it's some examples. In this first example, I have my point, and just to make it easier, we're going to label it x1, y1, x2, y2. So that means I put my x1 and my x2 in together. So negative 2 minus negative 5. So you see it right here, my x minus x, negative 2 minus negative 5. And then my y, 4 minus negative 6. So all I've done is I've put in my x minus x and my y minus y. Negative 2 minus negative 5 is 3, and then 4 minus negative 6 is 10. So if you're wondering, you can double tap or touch twice. Then I square it. 3 squared is 9, and 10 squared is 100. So 9 plus 100 is 109, and the square root of 109. Now, 109 is not a perfect square. So I'm going to leave it as the square root of 109. And it's about 10 point something. But for right now, I'm just going to leave it like that. Number 2, I have x1, y1, x2, y2. So I've put it in 3 minus 3, and then negative 2 minus 5. So from here, I'm going to subtract. 3 minus 3 is 0, and negative 2 minus negative 5 is negative 7 squared. So 0 squared is just 0, negative 7 squared is 49, so my distance is going to equal 7 because the square root of 49 is 7. Now, the square root of 49 is also a negative 7, but when we're dealing with distances, you can't have a negative distance. So when it's distances, it's always going to be positive. Alright, so this one's a little bit more difficult. Find the perimeter of the shape with these coordinates. So I have these coordinates, A, B, and C. I've graphed them over here, A, B, and C, and it makes, let's see, whoops. It makes a triangle. Alright? So in order to find the perimeter, I need to find the distances between all these points. So you have to do the distance formula several times. Now I can see from A to B, they're both at positive 5. So from here to here, I can just count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. From here to here, the distance is 8 because I just counted over. Now that can only happen if it's in a straight line, either vertical or horizontal. If it's diagonal, you have to use the distance formula. So from here to here, I'm going to use the distance formula, and from here to here, I'm going to use the distance formula. So from B to C, B is 4 5, and C is negative 3, negative 4. So I'm going to use my distance formula, and x minus x. So 4 minus negative 3 squared, and y minus y would be 5 minus negative 4 squared. So again, my distance formula, x minus x squared plus y minus y squared. Okay. This would be 7 squared plus 9 squared. 4 minus negative 3 is 7. 5 minus negative 4 is 9. And then 49 plus 81, and that's going to be 130. So the square root of 130, which I don't know what that is off the top of my head. I know that the square root of 121 is 11, and 144 is 12, so it's between 11 and 12. So this is the square root of 130, from here to here. Now I have to do from A to B. A's value is negative 4, 5. So I have to do the square root again with A and C. A and C. So I'm going to start here. Negative 4 minus negative 3 squared. 5, plus 5 minus negative 4 squared. So x minus x, y minus y. This is going to be negative 1 squared plus 9 squared, which is 1 plus 81, so square root of 82. So this value over here is the square root of 82. Now, let's go back to my question, and it says find the perimeter. So to find the perimeter, you have to add up all the sides. So 8, right here, plus the square root of 130, plus the square root of 82. And all of that would give me the perimeter. Well, I don't know what those square roots are, so I would type that into my calculator, and I would get some approximation. So type that in your calculator, and you get something, I don't know, let's try it. Alright, so the square root of 130 plus the square root of 82 plus 8. So it's about 28.457. So 28 and a half feet, inches, meters, whatever. Now, I took this question from a practice EOG type question. So this is the type of thing I'll ask you on your EOG. You have to use the distance formula, then apply it to this problem to find the perimeter. Alright, so the last two are you tries. I want you to try to find the distance. And remember the distance formula, x minus x squared plus y minus y squared, and then you take the square root. So find the distance, please, of these two values using that formula, and we'll go over that tomorrow.